Hey guys, welcome back. Patrick here. So you guys know that I made a lot of money with LCA Nugget Online this year. I've featured this stock multiple times on the channel and I really highlighted how much growth they have in New Jersey. But let me start this video with a really bold claim. That is only the tip of the iceberg. In fact, in the next few years, gambling stocks are going to completely outperform the rest of the stock market. So you guys know me as the cautious one. Really, I try to tell you guys not to have fear of missing out and all of that. But in this case, you would be crazy not to look into this industry and see if you want exposure to it. Millionaires will actually be made with these gambling stocks. So today I'm going to show you my 3 best picks, the ones that I'm building positions in right now, right? And you guys can see if you're interested in looking into this industry. Maybe it's going to work for your portfolio. These are going to be the cornerstone of my portfolio in the next few years, along with the electric vehicles, of course. So let's get started now, but you guys know the deal. Please like and subscribe. You have no idea how much it helps the channel. Thank you so much. Alright friends, before we get into the top 3, why should you even pay attention to this video? Why care about gambling stocks when there's so many different opportunities in the stock market? I know full well that you guys are bombarded every day with YouTube videos promoting different stocks. Well, this is a little bit different. You guys know that my investment philosophy is to invest in companies that are in growing markets. And this market has to be growing massively for me to be involved long term. You know the expression, rising tides raise all ships. If you're investing in a company in a growing market, then naturally, organically, your company is going to benefit from that growth in the industry. There's just more money flowing into it. So this is what we're looking at here. This industry is poised to have massive growth in the next few years for one reason: online gambling. So for the last several decades, all gambling was linked to physical casinos. You had to go to Las Vegas, you had to go to New Jersey to be able to gamble. Whether it's sports betting, whether it's poker, casino games like blackjack, you had to go to the casino to be able to do it. Well, now since 2018, and it actually opened in 2013 in New Jersey, but in 2018 there was a decision by the Supreme Court to allow sports betting, and that is really kickstarting things off for all of these different states to open gambling. So now instead of having to go to the casino, which for me the closest one is 3 hours away, you're going to be able to bet $10 online on a football game on Sunday. You're going to be able to play poker eventually with your friends online. So all this is going to totally revolutionize this industry. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know that in 2020, the casinos have taken a big hit because they were closed during the pandemic. So this is the American Gaming Association. If we look at the numbers for Q3, the industry was down 18.9%. And year to date, down 36.5%. So those aren't signs of an industry that's actually growing, right? The warning signs there. Well, if you look at it, this doesn't paint the entire picture. Sports betting up 47.1% in the third quarter. And iGaming, which is online casinos, up 253.8% in the third quarter. Now, year to date, which includes, remember, the sports leagues like the NHL, football, basketball, everything was closed. Sports betting up 27% and iGaming up 205.7%. Now, if we look at New Jersey, which was one of the first states to really pioneer this online gaming phenomenon, right? In 2020, the casinos are getting destroyed, down 45.9% in their revenues. And year over year, the total gaming revenue down 22.7%. But again, if you look at internet gaming, up 102.8%, and then the sports wagering up 20.1%. And those are averages, because if we look at the internet gaming, which is online casinos, look at Borgata, up 161%, and LCA Nugget Online, which we've talked about many times, up 87%, right? So 1 or 2 is great, but that's not even all the companies. There are some companies that are growing faster than that. So this is what the opportunity is. This is in New Jersey, which is not even the most populous state in the country, right? It is only the 11th, right? So New Jersey at almost 9 million population. Well, now Pennsylvania is coming online. You have Illinois that's starting to allow it. And that doesn't include the top 4. The big prizes, when these become available, it's going to be California, Texas, Florida, and New York, right? Populations 20 million, 21, 28, 39. Those are going to be the massive profit makers for these companies when these states allow gambling online. And a lot of them already have physical casinos. Now it's just a matter of allowing online gaming. So I don't know exactly when they're going to be licensing companies, but it will happen in the future because we all know that states are going bankrupt and need those tax revenues. It's just a matter of time. Now, at the same time, one last warning before getting into the top three. This is also one of the risks. We don't know exactly when the different states are going to be opening up for licenses. So do keep in mind, every state is a little bit different in the US, and that's one of the risk factor with this industry. But overall, the industry as a whole is going to have massive expansion in the next few years. All right, guys, let's get into the top three, shall we? Finally, the best gambling plays for 2021 and going forward. So at number three, I could have gone with a lot of different companies, but in the end, I'm going to have to go with MGM Resorts. Could have made a great case for some other companies, right? Golden Nugget Online, Rush Street, or even some of the older players like Caesars, when all of them, as long as they have an online presence, are going to do well over the next few years. My theory, I'm going to repeat it, is that currently you have the physical casinos, which are going to recover a little bit. They're going to have a little growth over time. But what's going to happen is that you have the online gaming that's just going to go up so much that it's going to overtake the physical casinos in the future. So companies that are positioning themselves now are going to really benefit from that wave as each state starts to open up. So MGM Resorts is one of the companies that's doing that really well right now, as I'm going to show you. So currently at $29.35, I'm not getting a big discount from the 52-week high. The stock has recovered a lot already, right? The 52-week high is $34.64. But compared to where it's going to be in the next few years, I think this is still a steal. And anytime any of those three companies are going to be showing weakness over the next couple of months, I'm going to be adding shares and building my position bigger in these stocks. So currently the market cap is 14.49 billion rather, and the company has a lot of liquidity. So we know that they were hit badly with the pandemic, but they did everything correctly. And right now they have 7.8 billion of consolidated liquidity, meaning there's no risk of them going bankrupt. Like, they're doing fine, and all of their casinos are open again. So for those of you that are not as familiar with MGM and have never gone to Las Vegas, well, they have a lot of different well-known casinos right on the strip. They have the Bellagio, Aria, MGM Grand, they have the Mirage, and they also have some lower scale casinos like Luxor, Excalibur. So they have a pretty nice range that cover most players in the country. Now, they also have expanded in other states, and this is crucial because what you have to understand is that for online gambling, you have to have your license attached to a physical location, right? So the fact that they are present in other states is really going to help them when these states open up for online gambling, because they'll be able to get their own licenses much easier than companies that don't have a physical location, right? So they have Massachusetts, DC, they have Michigan, Mississippi, they have New Jersey, they have one in New York. So anytime those states open up, they'll be able to get their own license. Now, they're also present, of course, in China and Macau, right? And they have other projects in Japan and stuff like that. I'm not going to really delve into that too much. But what's important here is that I'm going to assume that the physical casinos are not necessarily going to be growing a lot in the next few years. But for the sake of this video, right, let's assume that they're going to at least go back to where they were in 2019, right? They're going to have small increases year after year, but the bulk of the growth is going to come from the online platform. And MGM Resorts is doing that really well with their partnership in Roar Partners. So what they did is they made a joint venture agreement with a company called GVC, right? That is present in Europe. And if you guys are familiar with Party Poker, it's a company behind that. So they have this partnership where they're really investing a lot in the online platforms. So they have BetMGM, which is their sports book. They have Borgata Online, which we looked at the revenues earlier, Party Casino, Party Poker. So they have a lot of different domains when it comes to online gaming, and they're just going to add more over time. They're investing massively in this platform. GVC, MGM go all in on BetMGM, more than double investment to $450 million. So their plan is to really build this up throughout the country. Anytime one of the states opens up, they're going to be there. So they expect that this is going to be a $20.3 billion market by 2025, of which they should have about 15-20% market share. Now, I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look at what happened in Europe, it's pretty standard. There's nothing wrong with it. There's not going to be one company that dominates the market while the other ones struggle. In fact, most companies are going to be fairly successful. It's just a matter of how are they they going to compare with their peers? And I think that BetMGM is doing all of the right things, is positioning themselves to be one of the leaders in the next few years. So currently they have market access in 20 different states, but they're only live in 8 of them. So think about that, 8 out of 50. And they're not even the bigger states. We're still missing California, Texas, New York, and Florida. So when the big 4 comes into play, that's going to lift the entire industry and the revenues are going to go through the roof. And that's what I'm counting on with MGM. I think they'll benefit a lot from that. So now they're going to be in 11 states by the end of the year. If I'm not mistaken, right now they're working on Tennessee, New Mexico, and Pennsylvania. So those are going to be live fairly soon and help boost their revenues, which they already increased their net revenue projection from 130 million all the way up to 150 to 160 for this year. So this is just going to grow over time, right, as they expand into new markets. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys about MGM, what I think is going to set them apart and make them a great company when it comes to online gaming versus just good, is 2 different things. Number one, they're going to be offering all the games. So they're going to offer casino games, but they'll also have the sports book, they'll have the poker, and eventually, if I'm not wrong, this is my projection, eventually they'll add bingo and possibly lottery. Well, not all the casinos are doing that. Golden Nugget Online is mostly specialized in casinos, but they don't have any presence really in sportsbook or poker. That's just not their specialty. But instead of going for the entire market, they're going for a subset of the market. So even though it's a great company and I think they're going to be successful, it just makes it so they have a lower ceiling as opposed to MGM that's going to attract the entire market. The second thing is I think this is one of the companies that's going to do really well at converting their foot traffic and just people on their customer base to actual customers on their online platform. So think about it. Let's say that you guys go on your honeymoon or you go with for a vacation with your friends to Las Vegas. As soon as you go to a Bellagio or MGM Grand or one of their properties, you're going to go sign up for their loyalty card M-Life, and then you'll be in their database. So as soon as they open in your state, let's say you live in California, well, as soon as they're in California, they'll start sending you emails. Hey, why don't you deposit 50 and we'll give you $50 bonus? Why don't you bet on the game on Sunday, right? So they'll start to generate a lot of customers this way. And I think that this is one of the things that's going to separate this company from some of the other ones. Again, if we go back to Golden Nugget Online, you can't compare their presence with MGM. MGM has many more properties and is better known. So again, lower ceiling for Golden Nugget Online than with MGM. And that is why this is going to be my number 3 pick, $29. It's still fairly cheap. I think that over time it's going to go way higher than that as people start to realize how big the gambling wave online is going to be. Alright guys, so next up we've got my number 2 pick, which might be a little controversial. I'm going to go with PENN Gaming. The stock is currently at $72.85 with a market cap of $11.3 billion. Now the reason why I say that this pick might be controversial is not that it's a bad stock by any means. In fact, I think it has a lot going for it. It's just that the stock has run up a lot in 2020 and it is very hyped right now. So because of that, the share price is very close to the all-time high and I'm not getting a big discount on it. But remember, the reason why I'm making this video is for the next 12 months. So I'm not necessarily going to be buying shares of this stock tomorrow or in a week, right? I'm looking for periods of weakness where I'll be able to add to my position and it's going to make sense. So even though 73 might be a little high right now, if it drops to 65 or 60, then I'm going to be able to pick up shares and it's going to be a good deal. So if we look at it, right, before the pandemic, it was in the mid to high 30s. Then it crashed all the way down to 375. And since then, it's rebounded to almost about $72. So this stock has had a lot of momentum over the past few months. It's been hyped by a lot of people, but there's a good reason for that, and that's what we'll talk about. So PENN Gaming is more of a regional operator. They're not nearly as well known as MGM, but they have a lot going for them, and this is what's exciting about them, is that not only do they have very good coverage of the United States, right? We're not going to go through them, but they cover a lot of different states, which is really going to help them get those licenses pretty quickly and be able to be up and running because they already have the infrastructure in place. But also, if you look at casinos like Greektown in Detroit, Michigan, supposedly this is one of the more popular casinos there. Well, they'll be able to convert and funnel players from the physical casinos and their other properties to online players. And that's what I was talking about earlier. It's not enough to just have the online platform. What's going to separate the great companies from the good ones is the ability to get a lot of players. right? So the fact that they have a lot of different properties to funnel players from, this is one of the advantages that they have. But that in itself is not nearly enough, right? Because the company has pretty good valuation already. What sets them apart and what caught a lot of people's attention is that earlier this year, they got a stake in Dave Portnoy's Barstool Sports. So you guys know that this is a pretty big multimedia company right now, and they have a lot of people that listen to the podcast and their YouTube channel, Instagram, millions of people, which is what is attracting so much attention, is the fact that now they have such a big multimedia platform for their marketing that it's almost impossible for them not to generate a big player base. When you have millions of people listening to you weekly, right, that just makes it so you have a lot of those that are going to be converted to online players, especially when the listeners are guys like me, like 20 to 50, let's say, that are really interested in sports, are enjoying sports betting and stuff like that. It's going to make it very easy for them to convert them to online players. So podcast reach helps attract casino giant to Barstool Sports. And then the way that they describe it, if you look at their fans, they're concentrated in the biggest cities, and that's where a lot of our properties are. So not only are they going to be able to convert them to the online platform, but also they'll be able to advertise their own local properties. So this is one of the this is the Barstool Sportsbook app, right? So when it was launched in Pennsylvania, in the first week that it launched, it was the #1 most downloaded sports betting app. So again, that gave them a lot of momentum, and we can expect that exactly the same thing is going to happen in Michigan when they open. So this is going to allow them to build branded Barstool Sportsbooks throughout the country, and this is where it gets interesting. If we were just looking at the current numbers, it might not make sense, right? We're talking about valuations in the tens of billions of dollars, and it might not be worth it. But here's where we have to look past that and look towards the future, is that, do you guys remember about 15 years ago, after Chris Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker, and all of a sudden, everyone started to play poker online and poker nights and the weekends with their friends and stuff like that. It became the in thing. It was mainstream once more. Well, this is what they want to do with sports books, right? They want to make it very casual, very popular for people, like regular people, to actually bet on sports and make it mainstream, make it the in thing to watch sports with your friends on Saturday or on Sunday and actually have money riding on it, right? So it's not going to be taboo anymore. So this is how you can justify the big partnership that they have with Barstool Sports. It's trying to bring this mainstream, and that's why it's so interesting, right? If it was just like PENN Gaming, yeah, you know, it would be okay, but nothing special. But it's the fact that they're going to have such branding towards it. Everyone wants to be part of a culture, and everyone wants to be part of a group, and that's what they're building right now with their millions of users. So because of all of that, PENN Gaming is going to be my #2 pick out of the top 3. Because it's fairly expensive, I couldn't put it as my #1. This is one of the stocks where I'm going to put it on my watch list. And when there's a period of weakness, I'll be able to buy more shares. So if you guys can look at it, if you guys remember in October and the beginning of November, the market was really depressed, right? It had gone down a lot. Well, this would have been a great opportunity to buy more shares. Well, we can expect there's always going to be periods like that in the future, right? Stocks don't just go up, even though that's a meme lately. There's more roller coasters. So as long as you can buy at the bottom of that roller coaster, you're going to get a pretty good price. So that's what I'm going to do with this stock. I already have a little position, but I'm going to add over time. Before I get to the #1 pick, I just want to give a quick shout out for those of you that have signed up through WeBull recently. This is not gambling. Currently, they have a promotion where if you do deposit $100, you get 4 free stocks. So this is instant return on your investment. So I have the link in the description if you guys are interested in checking it out. Please let me know if you do sign up what 4 stocks you end up getting. All right, guys, in the close at #1, we've got DraftKings. I don't know if this is a surprise for you guys. I haven't talked about it a lot on the channel, but it is one of the better known stocks. Everyone knows the potential for DraftKings, and I'm not sure if you guys have a position open on it already. So it has been by far one of the best SPACs of the year. Currently at $50, that gives it a valuation of $19.6 billion, and I can make a pretty good case that this is a little bit overvalued. But once more, we're looking for the next couple of years here. So there will at some point be good opportunities to buy more shares. So the 52-week high was $64. And if we look at the chart, it IPO'd at $10 with the SPAC, right? And it had a meteoric rise all the way up to $60. Now, in October, as I mentioned before, there was that time where the market was really shaken up and it went back down to the mid-30s. So this would have been a great entry point that would have cut the valuation almost in half, right? So it would have been about $10-11 billion instead of 20. So that would have been a great time to buy. This might very well happen once again, right? Everyone knows that it is a little bit too overvalued right now. So if the share price drops, that's going to be a great entry point. So why is it worth that much, right? Why do I think that it's worth a little bit less than 19.6? Well, that's because Flutter Entertainment just bought a big stake in FanDuel. And for those of you that know about this industry, FanDuel and DraftKings have always been neck and neck, number one and number two. So they bought 37% of the company for $4.2 billion, which gave FanDuel a valuation of $11.7 billion. So because of that, it makes DraftKings look a little overvalued, right? So if we set that apart now, why is the stock so hyped up? Why does it have so much potential? Well, the easiest way to answer this question is that the company has a lot of growth, yes, but more importantly, the one thing you need to focus on when it comes to analyzing DraftKings is their users, right? They have millions of users in their database, and the analysts aren't really paying attention to that. They're not really giving that a value, but to me, that's worth its weight in gold. If you think about it, right, in the third quarter, $133 million in revenue, and 42% increase year over year. Well, the company is worth $20 billion. So, you could expect maybe a little bit more than that. That's a big multiplier. But here's what gets really good is 1 million plus unique players in the third quarter, an increase of 64% year over year. That's where the money is. It's the fact that these players that are doing daily fantasy sports right now, they are the same target market that are going to be playing online sports, and some of them are going to convert to casino also, right? So this is where the company is going to thrive and have a big advantage over the other companies. Because DraftKings, you've probably seen the advertisements already. They've already spent all those millions of dollars over the past several years to really build their brand and attract these users. So they have a database of millions of them that they'll be able to convert. And that's the big deal. So in New Jersey, according to them, 46% of the New Jersey DraftKings Sportsbook users have placed a casino bet. So that's what I was talking about. Like, they have synergy between their different products that they're going to be able to cross-sell. So the guy that plays daily fantasy sports right now, he's going to place one bet once in a while. He's going to play a casino once in a while. And the goal here, right, is going to be to increase the average revenue per user from $34 and really scale that up. And that's what is going to turn their revenues into big profits over the future. Because right now they are losing a little bit of money. But if you think about this, right, as the market expands, as the market goes into bigger states and they have access to more games, right? They are able to increase the revenue per user. That's when the company is going to start generating profits eventually and really overtake some of their competitors, in my opinion. Another massive opportunity that DraftKings has that sets them apart from their competitors is the fact that they have a global presence. I'm kind of surprised that not a lot of people are looking into that. Other competitors that we've talked about, whether it's PENN Gaming, whether it's MGM, Golden Nugget Online, all of those guys are mostly focused on the US market, which for sure is the biggest market on earth probably when it comes to gaming. But that doesn't change the fact that Europe is a huge market for gambling. So is Canada with 37 million in population. In fact, Canada just announced that they were going to try to decriminalize single event sports betting, which in Canada is about a $14 billion market that's currently spent on illegal sports books, on the black market, bookies, and all of that, right? So that's a huge market that eventually DraftKings, if they get a license, are going to be able to tap into. And this sets them apart from the other companies because they already have users in Canada. So they already have users in the UK. So what's next for them? Eventually, hopefully, they can tap into Latin America. That's going to be a huge expansion for them. So the US market is great, right? Those other companies are going to be very successful there. DraftKings is going to be successful there, but not a lot of people have considered the fact that it's a worldwide market. Everyone loves sports and everyone loves gambling. So guys, there you have it. DraftKings is still my number one. It is currently overpriced, right? I want the stock to go down before I buy more shares, but this is one of the stocks that as soon as it shows weakness, it is going to have a lot of potential, right? It is going to grow over time massively. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I really appreciate you watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.